Continuing with Odette, I mentioned in the last video that I needed to change her wheels so she didn't drag. That's her from the front. As you can see, she's up about, with each finger segment being about an inch, so she's up about 3 inches in the front and about, because she's sloping, so about 2 inches in the back, maybe 2.5. So I've got the wheels pushed down all the way in the bottom hole. See, you can see the upper one there. That's hard to see. The middle one. These wheels used to be in this hole, which pushes the deck all the way down. But Odette has other problems. I took her tank off and carburetor to check the status of that, and the tank was dead empty. I noticed that the carburetor showed signs of damage and from maybe being in a fire. You see that chewed up, and I've also seen, animals and mice do that kind of thing. But here's the tank, and the carburetor was full of fuel, and the tank really had none. And that's because that's what the tank looks like on the corner. And if you'll notice, if I turn the tank this way, which is how it goes on the mower, that's over near the carburetor and where the fuel goes in. And I think this mower caught fire. Maybe not for very long, because I don't see a lot of damage. I've seen worse, and I've actually gotten them to run. And I'm still optimistic about Odette, even though she's been in a fire. And the reason that there was no fuel in this tank is their fire did enough damage on that corner to where there are little pinhole leaks in this fuel tank. So between that and the carburetor showing some damage, and by the way, this was a parts mower, so people have obviously been messing with it. There is no needle in this carburetor. Listen to this. So it just flops around. There's no needle. And the carburetor cartridge is completely packed off with gunk in the jet there. That little jet is open, but the most important one is that one. And I've got enough of these spares around and a few new ones that I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not going to even mess with that carburetor. I may save it for parts. I don't know. I may even repair that tank. I'm still debating on that, but I'm not going to use it today because I want to go ahead and finish Odette. So let's look over here in my pile of fuel tanks, and I think I may have one here that I can use. Let's see. Yep, I think that's the correct one. So let me undo this little twist tie here, which I've got holding it up. Well, my collection is like a stringer of fish, except this is a stringer of fuel tanks. Okay, so about to bust loose here. And here is my new fuel tank. And I do like to put a little screw in the end of them to keep the dust and dirt out while I've got them stored. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out now. And this little twist tie comes off. And now I have a tank that has not been in a fire. And that's the difference right there. Okay. That little hose looks okay. It might be a little bit long. I don't think that's original equipment, but I may be able to use that. So let me set the phone down, and we're going to keep repairing this mower. Hope I have a decent enough charge on this thing to finish this here with you today. there's our work area. I've got to get that carburetor on there and that tank. So let's try and do that. Put my gloves on. Where did they go? Right there. And I've done some housekeeping on this mower with a toothbrush, and that's about the only thing I can squeeze up under there to get all the dirt and mud out. So Odette's looking a little better from a housekeeping standpoint. I have set the air gap, and let me give you a little tip on that. You know, by now, if you watch enough of my videos, that I use little milk jug strips to set the air gap. Goes right in there and right in there. And I just wanted to give you this quick tip. It's awfully hard because these magnets are so powerful sometimes. They pull that coil in, and you want it to do that. You want it to pull the coil in, and then you pull back, and it separates, and you can slip your little milk jug strip in there to set the air gap. But sometimes that's hard to do, so just know that it is okay to put a little flat tip screwdriver right in there, and then just, push it, lever it as a lever, and then push the coil away so you have enough room there to slip that strip in there. That is okay, because it's not going to push enough resistance to where you're going to damage that thing. But you just need help, because that magnet is so powerful that you need to do that sometimes, and that's what I had to do today. So now the air gap is set, and we are going to put the tank on and the carburetor, and I think we'll be pulling the cord on this thing in a few minutes. Hopefully the carburetor and tank are going to work, and I won't have any leaks, but we'll know that in a minute. So here's my new tank that has not been in a fire, and I'm going to get this hose off this tank, because I do think I can use that, but that's definitely aftermarket, because that's at a slant cut, and they don't come like that. They don't come like that from Briggs and Stratton. So I'm going to take this off. First, I'm going to straighten that cut out. So that's at an angle. So let me try and do that. If I do this wrong, I'll just get me a new one of these. It's a little better. Get a box cutter, clean that up. See, I've got the edge there that is not flush, so let me see if I can improve that a little bit. That's somewhat better. That's a little straighter. I need to put a notch on it. Okay, that's a little cleaner. The question is it going to fit on there now? So let me, I got the hose clamp here. This is the burnt tank. It leaks for sure. I may be able to repair that, but I don't want to mess with it right now, so I'm just trying to get this little piece of hose off. There we go. Now we're going to slip it on this one. Well, you know what? I did flush water through there, so I don't think I am going to use this hose. I'm going to slip these hose clamps out and make me another one. You get it, Melody? Okay, here's one. So let me get these hose clamps on there. That fits pretty snug, that's important. Okay, now, I'm going to slip this thing on the tank. And sometimes I'll put a little drop of oil on there to help with that. And I think I'll do that now. Here's some 3-in-1 oil. I'll turn the tank this way so it doesn't get actually in the tank. Kind of push that around. Now we'll slip this on here and it should go on pretty easily. Alright. Now you want your little ears on the hose clamp facing out towards you on this label side out here, because that's where it's going to, you're going to have to adjust it when it gets on there. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and seal the one on the tank, turn the ears towards me, and then let it go right there. So the little ears are right there. And now I'm going to put this carburetor on, which I just cleaned the other day. And I make notes to myself, and what this note says is that it has a new cartridge in it, and it's ready to test on a mower. So let's do that. There's a little bit of oil there. These tend to slip on pretty easy, so let me try that. Yeah, it's not quite as hard to get it on as it is on the tank. So now, slide this hose clamp over into position. The ears facing out on both hose clamps. And now I install my carburetors and tanks as a unit. Goes on like that. So I swing the automatic governor arm linkage out this way. Slip it into the butterfly at the top of the carburetor. And now I turn, check to make sure the gasket and the retaining clip, the white clip are in there. They are. And now I sort of almost put it on, but not quite. So I put her in position right there. Maybe push a little bit on it. Let's try that a little bit. Oh, went too far. That's okay. So it's actually installed already, but I backed it off a bit. Now I push the tank down. You do have to watch. Oops, let's see why is that not going in. There we go. Clunk. You do have to watch this little plastic, white plastic jet on the side, because it tends to pop out. Let me show you that. This little guy right there gets caught in here as you're wiggling things around and pushing the tank, and they'll go plink and it'll pop out, and you got to push that back in, because that's where air is drawn into this type of carburetor that then pushes the fuel in when you prime it. So that's important. So that's where we are on that. And so we've got the tank on, we have the carburetor on, and now I just need to install an air filter plate. This one was missing all that, so I've got to go into my spare parts and find that. So when you come back, the air filter plate will be installed, and the rewinder will be put back on. I think we're going to be pulling the cord on this thing. So stay tuned to find out if Odette runs.